Welcome to Highly Affected by Her Surroundings, the podcast where we reveal how your environment can make or break your day. Hosted by me, Nicole Roe, owner and lead designer at Nixon Interiors. Today's guest embodies that effortless California cool that so many of us admire. Kristin Hildebrand is the founder and creative director of KH Interiors, a design studio known for its earthy, layered, and elevated aesthetic, the kind of spaces that feel both inspiring and deeply livable. After earning her degree from Stanford and spending nearly a decade playing professional volleyball abroad, Kristen brought that same drive, discipline, and creative spirit into her design career. Her firm has become known not only for their stunning interiors, but also for the lifestyle they've built around collaboration, quality, and creativity. All while Kristen is raising young kids and leading distance projects across the country. Kristen, I am so excited to have you on Highly Affected by Her Surroundings and dive into how you've built a design business that's as intentional as it is aspirational. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Nicole. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes. Okay. So diving in, Kristen and I met at design camp, which I wanted to mention because that was one of the first times I think I've ever been in a room with a bunch of designers, and I was instantly drawn to your energy. And honestly, I think I'm always drawn to people that are from California because that
Aw.
is my roots. Throw in volleyball. I don't know. I played volleyball my entire life, and I didn't realize how far you could go in volleyball. So, give a little background about who you are, what you've done, and how you got into this world of interiors.
Hey, shout out for design camp though. That was like the best. Like
Yes.
truly, I feel like it was like this huge pivotal moment in my career. Um, Love that. And so glad we met. And thank you so much again for having me.
Yes. So, how did it get
Um,
started?
so as you said, I went to Stanford, and at the time I didn't know that I wanted to get into design. All I knew was I wanted to play pro volleyball. That was something that was really important to me. I had done kind of youth developmental USA stuff throughout my whole um, teenage years, and then at the time I was at Stanford, I wanted to do nonprofit work, so I actually majored in urban studies. And after I graduated, I ended up joining Team USA, playing pro for them for the next 10 years while traveling abroad and competing for pro teams as well. So I lived in Russia, Brazil, Italy, Turkey, Poland, Azerbaijan, in the Middle East. So like a wild list of countries. And I literally like lived in these places for 8 months at a time. And then I would come home in the summer and compete for USA for those 4 months. During that time, my husband and I bought our first house in Orange County. We renovated it, and I kind of started to get the feeling that I loved the process. And my dad's also a designer, an interior designer, and a lot of people don't know that about me, but I grew up with him kind of running his business out of our basement. So kind of fabric samples all over all over our house, like showroom sofas on the weekend. And he still has his business. He does a lot of commercial and high-end residential out of Utah, but he's like super old school, doesn't have a website, any of that, which I kind of love so much. But anyway, fast forward to me renovating while I was a pro athlete. So I had USA teammates who would come over for parties or whatever, like happy hours. And they were all just like, you're really good at this. Like, you should think about this when you stop volleyball. And so kind of planted the seed when I was playing, like, okay, well, maybe design is something I could get into. Um, and then when I decided to finish my pro career, I was about 30, 31. And that is when Tyler and I we got pregnant and we had Rhett, my son, who's about to be 8 next week. It's so crazy. I can't believe I have an almost 8-year-old. But I was a stay-at-home mom for a year. And then I was like, okay, I think I might want to do design. Like, I think it's something that I want to pursue. So I started looking at programs. I started looking at what I could do to kind of educate myself, to get enough uh, experience or someone to take a chance on me. Like I just didn't know where to start. So I ended up finding a program in LA. I took classes. It was about a 3-month program, like start to finish, and it gave me some sort of direction and like basis for what I had in mind. And then what was amazing was that the director of that program actually got me my first job. So at the time I started my business in late 2018, the director of the program had referred me to a developer in LA that was looking to hire an in-house interior designer. I had zero experience, literally zero experience. And this guy was just like, "Hey, Wanda said that you're a really hard worker and you won a gold medal in the world championships. Is that all true?" And I was like, "Uh-huh." And he's like, "But you have no design experience." I was like, "Uh-huh." He's like, "Okay, you got the job." And like that was it. I showed up every day and just worked as hard as I could and just dove in. Like there was so much that I didn't know, but I just dove in. And I had the eye, right? Like I've always had the eye. It was just like all of the other things that you have to learn in this industry, that I was just getting kind of flooded with daily, but I loved it, right? And so, I worked for Gary for a year and we developed projects in West Hollywood, in Venice, Culver City. Like we did several jobs. It was a really great experience for me. I also had my business at the same time, but I had no clients, right? Like I had no clients. So it took time for me to kind of get, friend. My first client was my old teammate's mom who like wanted her kitchen renovated in Manhattan Beach, right? And I was just like, yes, send me in. Like I want this job. So, over time, over that course of a year that I worked for the developer in LA, just gaining experience, I was able to finally get my own clients. And after about a year, I was like, okay, I can't do both. Like, I'm going to get overwhelmed and this is too much. So I said, like, Gary, thank you so much for taking a chance on me, for like everything you taught me. But like, I got to go. And he was like, I knew this day would come. Go kill it. So that's kind of like how I got into design. And that was, let's see, 2018. So we're coming up on 6 years here of KH Interiors, which is crazy to say.
Yeah, so I think our timelines are pretty similar because, kind of kids about the same age. But I want to circle back to your dad being an interior designer and running an interior design firm because that's not a story you hear very often. A lot of
Yeah.
times, like my story, I didn't know interior design was a career path. Or know about, someone's mom was a decorator or
Uh-huh.
worked in commercial. Like, you got
Uh-huh.
that commercial career, but to have the understanding of what is involved within interior design from your dad's perspective, I can only imagine the conversations you 2 have now, even after design
Yeah.
camp of, "Guess what I learned?" or "Guess what they're teaching me?" And he's like, "You don't need to do that." But you
Honestly, it's so fun,
definitely
Nicole. He always says, like, "I'm your phone a friend." Like, he's like, "If you're worried about like, if the coffee table is drawn in on the space plan, but you're still worried about it, like, phone a friend," or whatever it is, or you're trying to figure out your pricing, model with, like, blah, blah, blah. He's like, "Just call me." It's been a really cool way for us to connect in this kind of phase of our lives. Because I feel like typically when you're like a mom with kids, it's like you're just kind of connecting with your parents about like your their grandkids, right? Which of course
yes.
we do, but it's also like this like other layer, and it's really cool because he's very supportive and always wants to hear more about my projects, and checks in with me after presentations, and like actually he flew in from Utah when I got the studio in 2023. No, 2022. Oh my God. When I got the studio in 2022, he flew in and helped me renovate it. Like he was painting, he was like putting up paneling on the walls, he was like helping me refresh the bathroom, like he was like dialing it in for me. So that was also amazing to have him be a part of that. So I feel pretty lucky.
Yes. Now that you say that, I remember all of this happening on Instagram stories and everything. What a cool memory. Okay, so let's talk about the studio a little bit.
Hmm.
Kind of backtracking a little bit before that, like your studio and your style is your brand, but it's also a lifestyle. So it's that warm, sophisticated, grounded. Was that intentional from the start, or is that something that's evolved over the years?
I think it's evolved like everything is and always does. I think that like my aesthetic is has always been what it is. Like it's not really changed. I've always been drawn to the texture and the kind of like pared back minimalism, the organic elements, like the earthy European style. Like that's always been what I love. Like that's never really changed. But but you know, that being said, like every project and every client that comes to us like is a little different, you know? Like we just finished a project up here in the Bay Area, our Piedmont project. Like we shot it in September and like that was wildly outside my comfort zone. Like they like came to me with like a Pinterest board full of like tons of color and tons of like exciting patterns and pattern on pattern and like that for me was like oh this is not my typical thing but I also was like you know what I can do this and like I'm going to prove it to myself that we can do this you know and I'm really proud of the work that we ended up putting out even though it was outside of our kind of signature aesthetic so and I think that like ultimately as you know like if you're designing home after home after home. It's like all the same. It's like, this is boring. Like, what are we doing? Right. So it's like, it's an exciting challenge when things are exactly aligned, you know, with that signature aesthetic. But what I will say is like, I love now that I'm at a point in my career where people will reach out to me because they love our work and they're sending me like our work on Pinterest, like our work you know, is on their Pinterest board, you know? And so I already know like our aesthetics are aligned and like this is going to be like a pretty easy process for us to align ourselves and get like the design, you know, the design work kicked off. So,
How cool though, but also how cool that they saw your work, they saw your level of work, and they're like, "You know what? We have faith that she can meet our style goals because we know she can execute a project." So
mhm,
that's like the highest compliment is to be asked to do something almost different because they know you can.
thanks so
But
much. Yeah, I agree. It is like a compliment. It's like they're, you know, giving us that opportunity, even though it's not like exactly, you know, aligned with all the other work we're doing. So, yeah, I
how
love a good
fun.
challenge.
Yes, as we all do, and I think being able to mix it up at times is really important, but, clients come first. Their
Totally.
lifestyle, their desires comes first, but being able to have kind of that signature vibe, I think is still important because then people, when they are on Pinterest, they know it's your project, they are able to kind of put 2 and 2 together, and how fun to
Mhm.
now be at a point in a career that people are saving, our pictures
I
on the
know.
internet. It's
I
wild.
know. I
Okay.
know.
So I want to talk about the studio. We mentioned when you got it about 2022-ish, your dad helped you renovate it. You guys created this amazing, you're in a coastal town, you're in a beautiful location, but you just dropped a bomb on me that you actually moved.
So, yeah, so our studio is in Costa Mesa. We're just like a 6-minute drive from Newport Beach, and it is like just the most lovely location. And I have we are a team of 4, which we can get into another point. But I have a senior designer, an intermediate designer. They're both full time, and then I have a procurement and project coordinator, and she's part time. So our team of 4 were and still are located in Costa Mesa. But like I said, when we got on this call, my husband took a job. So he's a volleyball coach. We met playing volleyball and he has been coaching Division 1 volleyball since we were married. And he was at USC last year and not recently, back in June, we relocated to the Bay Area. So we live now in the East Bay, about 20 minutes from San Francisco and about 40 minutes south of Napa. It's a lovely location. I love it so much. I went to Stanford, so I spent plenty of time up here, and I have amazing friends. Like my college roommate actually lives 15 minutes, like, or not even 15. Like she lives right down the road from us. Our daughters go to the same school. They play on the same soccer team. And it's just been like this kind of lovely, warm return to the Bay Area for me. And, but back to kind of what's happening in Costa Mesa is so, when we took this job, we knew for all the right reasons, that this was right. This was back in June. And But the one thing that I was thinking was like, well, how is this going to translate for my business? Right. Because it's like, you can think something and believe something and hope something, but like actually, how is it going to be? Right. And I had this whole plan put together for, how I was going to approach my team with this news and how we're going to set ourselves up for kind of like uninterrupted business. Like, I don't want our clients or the builders that we're working with or referring us to new work, like, I don't want them to feel 1% of interruption, like not 1%. And how am I going to do that? Right. And I can say that, since we've moved here and relocated, we've I truly, Nicole, I'm so proud. Like when I sit here and talk about it, I'm like, what it looks like day to day is like my team is still in the studio a couple of days a week, right? So they're there for clients that need to drop by or vendors that need to drop by, like any meetings that need to be had. So they're there a few days a week. I'm flying in about 2 or 3 times a month. That's been the cadence, like since I moved here. Most of the time, it's a 2-day trip, so it'll be like back to back, like stacked days of meetings. But like my last trip down, I flew in, landed at 6:50. I worked from 8 to 6 and then was back at 9:30 that night. So it was like just a day trip. And it's pretty easy. Like it's at Oakland to Orange County. It's like a 45-minute flight. And it's like, and from the beginning, I thought to myself, you know what, this is going to be doable because it is a day trip and it's I'm not afraid to travel. I'm not afraid of doing things that are hard. Like I actually enjoy it. Like it feels like a fun little trip for me to like go down, like connect with my team, my clients, see our projects. Like I said, be super efficient from like a meeting standpoint. Like we're stacking everything that needs to get done like in those couple days. Um and I like I said, I'm really proud because it really has gone so smoothly. And there's been not one call from a client or a builder that's like, hey, like this fell through the cracks, or like, hey, like, you guys dropped the ball on, like, not. Like it's been the opposite. Like one of the builders that we're working with in Laguna Hills, like, we were working with them prior to me moving. And then after, for the last 6 months or the last 5 months since I've moved, they've referred us to new work. Like, and that alone to me is just like so meaningful. I'm just so proud of my team and what we are, like the foundation that we've built to allow us to continue this kind of model, right? Like it's an atypical model. And like in time, I hope to and I want to build out cage interiors in the Bay Area, right? Like I want to get a studio up here. Like maybe I'm hiring a team member or two up here so I can kind of have boots on the ground for local projects. I will put more time into like networking and, getting coffee dates with realtors and marketing and blah, blah, blah. But like for the last 5 months, all I've been focused on is like the foundation there and making sure that like we are bulletproof, which we are. Like we literally are, and I'm so proud of it. We're getting new work. We're continuing to be referred by builders who are wonderful and giving us great opportunities. And I'm just like, it's working. And like I'm yeah, like I said, really proud. I know I keep saying that, but like it's
No,
really
but
cool.
I think what you've done has been a fear of a lot of people, especially when nowadays there's so many spouses that do get relocated. There's
Mhm.
spouses that do, have to move across the country or whatever it is, but to know that your SOPs and the teams you've hired and the people you're working with, it's fine. It's all
Mhm.
good. I mean, my
Mhm.
studio is 25 minutes from my house, and there's some weeks I only get there twice. So it's really
Yeah.
not a whole, different cadence anyway. And I will say, for those not familiar with California, if there's 2 airports you're gonna fly in and out of in a same day, Oakland and Orange County are probably that. If
Yes.
you were doing San
Totally.
Francisco to LAX, like, you would be
No.
drained. So
No chance. No
yes,
chance.
so that's worked out really well for you, and I think
Yeah.
this is another conversation you and I have had about distance projects. One of
Mhm.
my goals for 2026 is to take on more distance projects that aren't just my clients' vacation homes. We've
Mhm.
nailed down that process really well because the clients tend to be local or it's snowbirds, whatever it is, it's either they're here, we're there. But you've taken on projects that are, in various states across the country, and I would love to know, how that started and kind of how that process works for you and your team.
Sure. How it started was me just saying yes. Like, just saying yes and figuring it out. I was thinking through the list of like cities that we've done work in prior to this call because it's been all over. Like we've built homes in Florida, Chicago, Illinois. We did a huge renovation in Lake Tahoe. We've done work in Seattle, Lake Oswego, Portland. We built a house on Orcas Island, which is like this amazing little island off of the coast of Seattle. You have to take like a ferry or a helicopter to get there. And then we did a new construction project in Denver, Colorado. And then most recently, currently, we are finishing a new construction project in Nashville, Tennessee. So we're going to go out and shoot that in the spring, which is going to be so special. And then we're also doing a primary suite renovation in Greenwich, Connecticut, and a renovation in Scottsdale, Arizona. So, like, literally all over. And like, people always ask me, like, how and why. And I think how is a lot of those clients, I would say like half and half. Like half of those distance clients found me on whether it's like Pinterest or Instagram, but like half of them were like either Stanford friends, like or my old USA teammates. Like, the home that we renovated in Lake Oswego, Portland, was my old Stanford teammate. And the home in Florida that we did, that was like a USA beach volleyball player that knew me. So I'd say like it's about half and half. And that's I think that's the how, right? And then like the other how is like there's processes that I had to put together, like how many site visits like I require. What does this look like? Like the meetings with the builders, right? Because like every project that you get on, like there's a different architect, there's a different builder, sometimes an architect involved. And like the meetings that you have to set to go through the design plan and make sure that like they understand the vision and are going to be able to execute, and then understanding like how are they updating, because like every builder is different, right? Like some have softwares like Builder Trend that they're uploading daily stuff on, some don't. Some are like more old school and want to like text or call, and then some are like, I'm gonna email you weekly on Fridays. So like I think understanding like how builder to builder, um, on these distance design projects, like how they best operate, and then making sure that like we understand how we can best communicate with them so nothing slips, right? And then just having like a psychotic level of follow up. Like I think that's what me and my team have, is just we have really comprehensive, weekly notes where we divide it up by project, and it's color coded by like who's doing what and like every single task across every single project, and we talk about it weekly. And that's how nothing slips, because we are accountable, we are following up always within 48 hours. Like if a client doesn't respond, we give them a week and then we ping them. So it's like we just kind of have systems in place where it kind of sets us up for success, and it's working. And there's challenges to distance design. It's like you have to find a new receiver, or a new workroom, or whatever it is, like a new wallpaper installer. So of course you can rely on the builder, the architect, ask them for referrals, but also like I always, say like reach out to Instagram, to like this wonderful community, and say like, hey, does anyone have a recommendation for like where to source tile in Greenwich, Connecticut, or whatever it is, like I need a local showroom. Like, what is that? So I think that like for sure there are those challenges, and that's the extra work that I don't mind putting in, because I love traveling, and like traveling to Nashville, like meeting our clients and being able to do work in a new city, and like having the experience of even like a coffee shop in the morning, and then like after the site visit is done, like I get to go to like a vibey restaurant like that night, like in Nashville with my clients, and like those are the kinds of things that like fuel me, like because and maybe it's just like who I am and who I've always been. Like I've spent my entire 20s like traveling. Like I was living abroad. I was literally living in Europe for 10 years. So for me to just like sit still and like do the same thing every single day kind of feels boring. Hopefully that kind of gives you an idea of like why I do it and like how I do it.
Well, I
Let
think
me know
you've
if it
conditioned no, but I mean, you've conditioned your body over your life to crave almost that dopamine hit of a new city, the dopamine hit of kind of trying this stuff out. But what I want to talk about is many designers have a rule that they do not work with friends, whether it's, past
uh-huh.
friends, current friends, because things can go wrong. But it
Yeah.
sounds like your friend projects are some of your best because you are a good human. And I know that like goes back and forth, but it really can be hard if one of the people in the relationship isn't a great human, if they have some character traits that don't work well together. But if you're flying across the country to build a project for a friend that you were friends with a decade ago, how cool is that?
Yeah, and we're still friends. Even the project wrapped up and we're still really close.
And but
So
to
I guess
get
like
coffee with a
yeah.
client, to get dinner after
Mhm,
like site days and visit days with clients are so draining that so often
mhm.
I don't want to see that person. I do not want to break bread with that person. But to know that you want to and you do and you're enjoying that, like that is just saying how amazing you are and how amazing your clients are.
You're so sweet. Thank you, Nicole. And like that too, I feel like is the magic. Like I think that like as we kind of get older in our careers and in our business running, like the fact that we can be more selective about the people we want to work with, like friends or not, like I don't wanna work with assholes anymore. Like, I just don't. Like, if I get that vibe, like, I started doing something about a year ago where, I do a discovery call, but it's a video call. Like, I used to do them on the phone, but I do a video call now because I wanna pick up on energy, and I wanna pick up on if me and this person could be friends. Like, could we get cocktails or whatever, coffee? Like, could we hang out, after a site visit? Like, or would I want to, right? Because you know how it is. It's like you're in a relationship with your clients for, 2, sometimes 3, sometimes 4 years, and it's like it just drain I've had clients that are not nice. I've had clients that are not nice, and it is so draining and so hard and just not worth it, period. Like, it doesn't matter how much money that project is gonna bring in for you in your business, it's just I learned the hard way, it's just not worth it, you know? And so, I've really kind of put more effort into being selective about the people. Like, I want you to, love my aesthetic, but also, like, what kind of person are you? Because I think it's really important for the length of time that we're working with these people, it's like, it's really important, I think, to, like, really make sure you can vibe with that person and they're a, good human being.
But also, when it is a distance project, you have to be on the same page because they have to have full trust in you. They
Yeah.
can't be sitting in Colorado doubting what is happening in California
Mm-mm,
because
mm-mm,
even here, I struggle with we basically consider anything that's like more than an hour away a distance project. Because being in
mhm.
Central Florida, like it could be a 2 hour drive to Winter Park in Orlando. We love those projects, but I'm not jumping over there because, the electrician has a question and the wallpaper installer showed up. Like, that's
Totally.
just not feasible, billable or not, it's not a feasible situation. So, like
Mhm.
you said, as long as you're within a couple hours, like, it is a distance and you have to set up those guardrails of what that looks like, but it sounds like your team's done a really, really nice job with that. So, congratulations there.
Thank you so much.
What
Thanks.
would a dream location be? Like, where are you just, itching to design a project?
Okay. I think for me, like, I would say, like, Big Sur, Carmel, like, this is where my husband and I honeymooned, and I am obsessed. Like, I think that, like, something on the coast, like, something, with yeah, I mean, that's really it. Like, something on the coast and clients that, like, would trust us. Like, that's it. Those are my only asks. But, like, I especially love this location. It feels, like, magical and nostalgic to me, and I would just, like, love and am manifesting a project there.
Okay, I was 100% expecting you to say somewhere in Europe because you live like, you have the
Oh, well
experience a lot of people
yeah, if you're
don't.
talking about worldwide,
Yes.
I would say, I mean, worldwide, probably Italy. Like, that to
Okay.
me feels like the most, again, nostalgic. I lived there, right outside of Venice for a year. I mean, and the architecture is just like it doesn't even compare to anything that we're doing here. So I mean, if I'm allowed to say Italy, then 100% Italy. But
Yes, you're allowed.
if we're talking USA for sure, like Big Sur Carmel, which is not that far from me now. It's just like a quick 2-hour drive.
And I'd also say with California, as someone who grew up in California as well, nothing's quick in California driving wise, but also you can have so many different vibes within that 2-hour drive. You can be in
Yeah,
Mammoth Mountain, you can be, in San Luis Obispo, you can be in like all these different areas that have
totally,
such a different culture and feeling and architectural styles that is a
totally.
plus to your lovely California state. Okay.
I know. Feel so lucky. Love this
So,
state.
we've talked the distance projects, we've talked about, so many things, but going back to your decade abroad and living abroad, the 8 months in one place and 4 months, and you're still traveling those 4 months you're in America. I find
Mhm.
it so interesting that your pivot has been creating these amazing homes for people to enjoy because you didn't really have that. You bought a house and renovated it, but you weren't, your head was not on your own pillow for
Mm-mm.
90 something percent of the year. So explain to me
Mhm.
how that feels now.
Um, yeah, no, you're so right. I literally was living out of a suitcase for like 10 straight years. And doing long distance with my husband, which is wild. Like the fact that we were like not even living together until I retired is like the craziest thing. But we did it and we have two of the sweetest, cutest kids to show for it. So, I think for me, I was also thinking about this recently. Like I think that like my why, I do what I do or love what I do is like I feel so like the world is so chaotic, like day to day, like there's so much that comes at us. Whether it's like work related or, more personal stuff or health or family or friends, like kids, like it just feels like that it's so much. And I think the older that I've gotten, like the heavier, of course, life has felt because of the responsibility of being an adult and being a mom and running a business. And, so I think that like the value of home to me and like how like I think the understanding of like the value of what our surroundings are has just it's become something that is so important to me. And because now being able to create, it sounds cliche, but like being able to create the backdrop for like our clients and their families lives is such a special privilege. Like it literally is my why. And like, because I didn't even think this isn't even like on purpose. Like, we are so highly affected by our surroundings, And like the fact that we get to so deeply influence those surroundings for these wonderful families that we work with is it. Like, that's it. And there's so much, like I said, there's so much that comes at all of us every day. And so to be able to come back home after a chaotic and stressful day and just be in a place that's going to affect you positively and make you feel like safe, like a big hug, or whatever it may be, like it's just that's really meaningful to me. So
So well said. And I also think people ask, what's your favorite part of a project? And demo day, install day, whatever is great, but when I see them have a housewarming party, when they host a child's birthday party, when they have
yes,
their Christmas card photos, taken at their house in front of their favorite rooms, to me, I'm like, that's why we freaking do this. Like,
yes, Nicole,
yes, there's tears. Yes, there's frustrations. Yes, a lot of money was spent, but we do it for that. I want
yeah.
that child to remember sitting at that table, blowing out their candles on their birthday every year,
Yeah.
surrounded by friends and family.
Yes, that is exactly it. Our Nashville clients recently sent me a video. Their daughter had a birthday party. It was like this adorable mermaid theme. And they sent me a video and they just moved in about a month ago. And, there's like birthday presents, like unwrapped everywhere, like just chaos balloons. Like it's just like, and like they're just kind of running around and that's the video. And I just was like, And I, of course, is you see this like beautiful backdrop that we spent hundreds and hundreds of hours designing. And I'm just like, that's it. Like, this is the most important thing, and stop. So I'm with you 100%.
Yes, like this is it. That is our why. Okay, so I'm
Mhm.
curious, do you have any like daily rituals, daily habits, weekly habits that you kind of do to stay grounded, to stay inspired, to really kind of stay whole?
Mhm. Well, I do like I I deeply believe in movement and meditation. Like, that for me has been really big, like, over the last, like, couple years, but more recently, like, year, where I've kind of committed to setting aside time, like, waking up before my kids are awake, right? Instead of, like, waking up in chaos. Like, setting my alarm for earlier, waking up, like, setting aside 30 minutes to, like, meditate, and, like, brush my teeth, do things, like, in not chaos. So meditating is like a non-negotiable for me. Like, I do it almost every single day. And then just getting outside and either taking a walk with my dogs usually, or working out. Like, it's usually one or the other. And sometimes I'll get in a really good routine where I'm working out, like, people always say like, "Oh, you were a pro athlete, like, are you, like, crazy about, like, lifting weights now?" And I'm like, "Not really." Like, I love, like, a mellow Pilates, like, or, like, a easy, like, hit kind of Pilates, like, fusion, like, I'm, like, not crazy, But, like, I do like to move my body, and I am a much better human being when I do. Like, my patience is better, and I just feel like I'm more, able to take on everything that comes at me during that day if I have meditated and, like, taken a walk or gotten my workout in or whatever. So those are kind of the 2 things that I try and keep consistent at.
And I think it's really important as somebody who runs a business and has children and has, like spouses that travel. My alarm goes off at 5 a.m. and my
Oh,
kids know, but they know I don't parent till 6:30. And it's not because I'm
yeah.
going crazy, working out for 90 minutes, but it's I get up, I make an ice water. One thing I invested in this year was a red light therapy tower. So I do my meditation and stretching in
Ooh,
front of that, and it warms
love
you up. It
that.
almost reminds me, and this is why I've had skin cancer cut off my body, the tanning beds of my youth. Like it's that warmth
Mhm.
from inside and that, like it brings
Yes,
me so much joy. But I think you're right. It's setting your day up for success and not
yes,
falling out of bed, making breakfast, yelling at everyone, trying to get it through, like, you've had your time, so good for you.
totally, totally. You too. Wait, that's so great. I love the red light note.
It has been so helpful. It literally just wakes me up, and sometimes I'll do it before bed, and it's almost the opposite effect too. It's like that wind down stretching, we are getting older, like, kinda
Yeah,
some of
oh,
that
yeah.
mobility or just
Yeah.
taking time to breathe. So definitely good. Okay, so looking ahead for RH Interiors, it sounds like you're killing it in the Southern California studio. Is there anything else upcoming that you wanna share?
What is upcoming? I mean, for us, like, the next 4 months, we are gonna be wrapping up some just really special projects, that we've been working on for years. We're finishing up our Manhattan Beach build, which is, it's been 3 plus years on that. Our Emerald Bay project, it's a new construction project, in a wonderful private community in Laguna Beach, and that's wrapping up end of January. So we're, planning our install and photo shoot. And then we have some really special projects that we've been working on in Costa Mesa. Our flower shoot project, our Costa Mesa project. Those are both supposed to be finished end of January, February. Plus, we have some exciting stuff going on in Scottsdale. I have a trip out there in January, to check in and kind of kick off phase 2. And then, like I said, we're wrapping up our Nashville project. Or sorry, we're shooting our Nashville project in the spring. So the next like 4, 5, 6 months are just like a really exciting time because we're going to be finish like a lot of really special projects are crossing the finish line, and we're going to capture them and add them to portfolio and use them on our socials and share them with the world. And, as like, it just means a lot when you're in the dust, like you're literally in the depths and the dust on these projects for literal years. And then you finally finish and get to share it with the world. So I'm excited about that.
Well, that is amazing, and I cannot wait to see them. But tell everybody where they can find you, what your social handles are, what your website is.
Sure. So we are KH Interiors on Instagram. It is KH period interiors. And our website is kh-interiors.com. And that's it. Come find us. Let's hang out. Let's be friends.
Yes, and it is really a well curated, but also good behind the scenes social. But okay, Kristen,
Thank
this has
you.
been such a beautiful conversation. I love how your story reminds us that great design isn't just about how a space looks, it's about how it feels and how it functions for the people living it and how it reflects their values, which was so cool. Thank
Mm.
you for sharing your insight, your process, and honestly, the heart behind KH Interiors. Please follow her social media, check out her website. Definitely next year, look at some of those new photos that she's going to release. You know, every project, whether it is in Nashville or Texas or Colorado, still has that California signature vibe of just warmth and friendliness. And, thank you so much for being here. This was such a fun conversation.
Thank you. Agreed. I'm so privileged to be here. Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Highly Affected by Her Surroundings. I truly appreciate you taking the time to join us today. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you have a moment, please rate and review the podcast. It helps others discover the show, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. For more behind the scenes content and design inspiration, follow us on social media. You can find me, Nicole, at Arnixon Interiors, and the podcast at Highly Affected by Her Surrounding. We'll be sharing updates, sneak peeks, and exclusive offers you won't want to miss. Plus, if you want a recap or more details from today's episode, you can find the show notes at arnixoninteriors.com under the Highly Affected by Her Surroundings tab. Once again, thank you for your support, and I can't wait to connect with you on social. See you next time.